You watch a 100 Mile Drive, a channel where I teach you to buy the right car. And guys, today I brought the hottest crossover made by Mercedes, and that is a 2024 Mercedes GLE 53 AMG that has a starting price of $90,000. And the biggest question I have, is it worth paying $10,000 more for this GLE 53 over BMW X6 xDrive 40i based on how it feels to drive? Let's find out in this video. The idea to bring this car next on the channel came really unexpectedly. 2 weeks ago, I reviewed BMW X5 and compared it to my X3 M40i. And then on TikTok, I posted a video and asked an open question, which one of those two cars people would get. And I was surprised where first few responses were none. We would get a Mercedes. So wow, there you go. Let's find out why people want to get a Mercedes. And if you watch a 100 Mile Drive for the first time, well, this is the channel where I say before you buy a GLE 53 or any other car, do not settle for a 5-minute test drive around the dealership block. Instead, rent a similar car from places like Turo and drive it for at least 100 miles on city streets, highway, and twisted roads to be able to answer the biggest question I'm answering on this channel: how does it feel to drive? So I'm gonna take this GLE 53 first on the city streets to see, is this a good daily driver? Is it comfortable at all? Then I'm gonna take it on the highway to check out its cabin insulation and see if you can spend hours in this car for like long trips. And for video number 2, I'm gonna take it to twisted roads and put its air suspension to the test so we can check its balance and performance, and most importantly, see how does it stack up against its direct rival like a BMW X5 or X6. Let's get into this video. And first, a quick walk around this 2024 GLE 53. It got a refresh for 2024 to make it look more aggressive, its front fascia. By the way, you want to see what the AMG logo looks like? It says a Falterbach here. It's pretty cool. Now, overall, in my opinion, this GLE 53 AMG looks more aggressive and stylish than the BMW X6. As much as I love BMWs, but that's what my opinion is after spending a day with this car. Now, this car comes standard with these 21-inch wheels. The front's a 275 40R21, and the rears are really wide 315 40R21. These are standard wheels, like I mentioned. Now, coming on the rear, I think this is the car where they really didn't mess up this coupe for the SUV. Now, the rear looks pretty much the same as before. I really like these quad exhaust tips. Now let's quickly look at the trunk, and surprisingly it has quite a spacious trunk. You can put a lot of stuff here. All right, let's close it and let's do a quick door sound check. All right, pretty heavy door actually, and it has a soft closed door. I don't know if you can see it on the video. If you leave it like this, it'll close all the way. All right, let's get on the inside. And first, before I hop on the inside, I want to show you what the cabin looks like, how luxurious this cabin is. Just take a look at this red and black interior. I mean, look at this dash. It looks absolutely amazing. And overall, this is the panel roof, the rear seats. I think it looks really, really gorgeous. Now, these seats are kind of on the firmer side, but very comfortable and supportive. Some Alcantara stitching here. It's your leather AMG stuff. And overall, I'm pretty pleased. Let's get on the inside. Now, as far as the interior quality, your upper trims are all soft touch here. Here, of course, some plastic on the lower trims. This is expected. You'll find in most cars the same kind of plastic stuff here. Now, coming on the dashboard, this is a soft touch. Again, red stitching, your giant speaker. By the way, this car comes standard with the Burmester sound system, 13 speakers, I believe 2 subwoofers, and I'm gonna discuss it as certain things I like about it, certain not so much. Look how cool this looks. You can adjust your headrest, your mid portion, and the lower one. Overall, seats are comfortable, like I said, but they're on a firmer side, but very supportive, especially these side bolsters, right? The headrest is also kind of soft here. Not as soft as like Lexus cars, but fairly soft. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is, let's go ahead and start the car. Look at these red dials. This is what I like about Mercedes over BMW, as they changed it to some weird stuff. And another thing, BMW, take out a notepad and start taking notes. Buttons, okay? We have buttons and a screen. This is what BMW failed to do by putting everything on the screen. Yes, you have your climate control menu, which you can adjust stuff on the screen, but still your temperature, let's say there's a button. You can adjust lower or, you know, warmer. Your intensity, you can adjust as well as a button. You know, all the essential stuff here as a button. And I really, really like that. And your heated seats, same thing. There's a button for heated seats, for cooled seats. There are real buttons, and that's what I like about it. Steering wheel is another masterpiece. And look at the steering wheel. You have your touch controls, sensitive touch controls. They work okay, not say I'm impressed, but I think if you spend time with this car, you may like it. Look at the steering, man. Some Alcantara here, your carbon fiber trim inserts. Overall looks very amazing. You can adjust your driving modes. In Sport Plus, exhaust just becomes louder. I don't think you can hear it on the video, but even in comfort mode, look, you can adjust exhaust individually, make it louder in comfort, and then turn it off. How cool is that? All right, guys, the only thing I find kind of cheap is this carbon fiber trim here. When you press on it, it kind of moves slightly and creaks. I don't know if you can hear it. So overall, very pleased with the cabin. Very luxurious. I think this definitely feels more luxury than BMW. Now, let's go ahead and drive it. Very quickly, guys, I want to show you the room in the rear for tall people. I'm 6'2", so here's the leg room here. I'm actually sitting, it's kind of like sitting behind myself, so I didn't move the seat forward. So there's pretty decent legroom space. And most importantly, what is it like for tall people? Well, it's not bad. I am touching, okay, let me remove this. I am touching with my head the ceiling, but if I'm sitting really upright, otherwise I can really sit and relax in the seat. It's pretty comfortable. The middle is kind of on the firmer side, but seats are fairly comfortable. So I can definitely spend hours in this car. And first I'm gonna drive GLE 53 in the city. First, let's check acceleration. So I'm gonna put it in Sport Plus so we get a louder exhaust notes. And let's put it in drive. We are ready, nobody's there, let's go. Now, this car officially rated 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds. This car has 429 horsepower, 413 pound-feet of torque. BMW X6 doesn't really have answer to this particular car because it's kind of like in its own segment where it's like been beefed up by AMG. And let's do a quick stop here, and then we're gonna do a quick lunge. All right, stop right here. All right, downshifts, and I love the exhaust notes. All right. Now, quick lunge. Oof. Now, how does it actually feel, right? Does it feel fast? Well, here's another thing. Car and Driver rated this car at 4.4 0 to 60 and Motor Trend around 4.6. Now, it definitely doesn't feel like really fast, and that's what the GLE 63S is for, with like 600 horsepower. But it feels satisfying. Part of this satisfying feeling is from the exhaust note. I mean, it's really loud. I wish you could see this in the video. All right, let's do one more time. Wow. You even hear exhaust in your left foot, like the vibration of the exhaust sound vibrates in your left foot. That's how cool it is. I really love that Mercedes did such a great work working on the exhaust in this car. It's so amazing. All right, let's throw it back in comfort mode. And we can actually make our exhaust a little bit louder separately. You know, that's so cool. Now let's talk about brakes in this car. Now, brakes in this car, let's say, could be better, but overall they feel pretty good. This car weighs around 5,200 pounds. I mean, there's no excessive lean forward, just your normal leaning forward, but you can tell that you're dealing with a heavy weight. But overall it stops pretty well. I wonder if AMG 63S has, like, you know, better brakes. I haven't looked that up. This is very similar to what the BMW is. I mean, like I said, you can tell a heavy car is stopping, but by the motion and by how it behaves. But overall, it's pretty confident in its braking, so not bad in that department. Next is steering. Let's talk about steering in this car. Now, steering is on the lighter side. It's kind of light to medium. It also tightens up when you put it in like a Sport Plus mode. But again, it's electromechanical steering, which is numb, where it basically, doesn't transfer any of the vibrations or anything, but it's pretty responsive. One thing I'll say, compared to X5 or X6, X5 and X6 steering is a little bit more direct, a little bit more pointy compared to this one. This one is slightly more relaxed. Now, how does it behave in aggressive setup, like on twisty roads? We're going to discuss when I take it in my video number 2 to the canyon roads. But overall, I like it. It's very gonna be easy to drive for like ladies. This car, very easy to drive. Now, next, seats, right? Seats already mentioned. They're not soft, they're not firm. I would say they are on the firmer side. The cool thing, they're pretty supportive. They have these side bolsters that almost like hugging you. So I do like how the seats feel. I will talk about on the highway if this is comfortable enough for the long journeys. Let's talk next about the suspension as I'm going to drive on my favorite Tampa Avenue. And now driving on my favorite Tampa Avenue on imperfected roads, and the fact that we have air suspension here, which has a sporty feel to it that I'm going to discuss, but it does really good job soaking these imperfections, these meaty potholes. It's such a great job. Like, I drove BMW iX a week ago, which is an electric car, but that is tuned for comfort. That felt even more comfortable. This is tuned more for the sportiness, like it's a sporty kind of crossover, yet it is also very comfortable over bumpy roads, over these potholes. It just feels absolutely amazing. It is so weird to compare air suspension setup to another air suspension setup, because they'll both do really well in terms of the comfort, yet one will feel sporty, the other one will feel more on like a relaxed side. So it's pretty impressive. Now, this car though tightens up on the twisty roads, and I'm going to discuss what happens with the suspension then. Now, how does it compare to, let's say, X6, right? X5 and X6. Now, one thing, people who buy X5 and X6, they mostly buy those cars with the steel suspension. Actually, let me go this way. So, because they're comfortable enough, right? There are very few who will buy X6 with the air suspension. So, if I ever get a hold of those car with the air suspension, X6, then I'll bring it on the channel. But otherwise, X5, X6, they feel more relaxed, even though X6 is a sportier car. And if you guys want me to directly compare that car, like drive it on the channel, I drove it a few occasions on the BMW events. I haven't driven it on my channel, but I might as well, since I'm driving this car. But overall, it's more relaxed on the steel suspension, yet it feels more connected to the road. Despite one reason is because of its steering. The steering feels a little, like I said, more pointy, more direct on X5, X6. And the other thing is steel suspension, despite being relaxed, still feels more connected to the road. That's one thing about BMW. Here, this car feels more sporty than the X5 or X6, okay? But because it's air suspension, it kind of feels like you are playing a video game, because let's face it, your steering is numb. Your suspension is kind of like, almost like numb to your bigger to your smaller imperfections, right? It does a really fantastic job just clearing everything. So if you're a car enthusiast, you're gonna like that car more. You're gonna like X6 more, because despite it being more relaxed, it still feels more connected to the road. It is very hard to make sense of what I'm saying, but try to understand what I'm trying to say. But because this has air suspension, which is supposedly a sporty, tuned for sport, the comfort level it delivers is kind of a little bit artificial. And it blends really well with this SUV, because, for many people, they're not like hardcore car enthusiasts, right? The people who drive 911s probably not gonna drive this car to feel everything on the road, right? So what you want from your SUV is more or less comfort, and luxury SUVs try to deliver on both comfort and sport at the same time. And this car did it fantastically, because air suspension is not like wandering, is not light or loose. It's very nicely tightened up, that makes it comfortable on city roads, but at the same time makes it quite engaging when you want to play around with this car. So personally, I do like it, and the overall impression of this car is very positive. Not only you are being in a very luxurious cabin with this really cool looking steering wheel, so anyone who loves luxury will definitely take this over X5 or X6. Anyone who wants a bit more engaging drive will take X5 or X6. Even though, like I said, that is a more relaxed car, but because of the steel suspension and how BMW tuned it, it'll feel a little bit more connected to the road. Now, let me go ahead and drive this on a highway so we can discuss what is it like driving this for many hours. All right, we are about to merge a highway, more imperfections here, and it's just a joy to hit all these imperfections in this car, because this air suspension just does such an amazing job just smoothing everything out. Where this car wants to go. All right, let's merge the highway. We're gonna stay in comfort mode. Let's put IWC, the luxury boutique watch, and it does on-ramp absolutely fantastically. Let's try to get in some middle lane here, and we're gonna check sound insulation in this car first. So one thing, how does it feel in terms of the sound insulation, right? It feels pretty quiet. I did hear some wind noise a little bit. It's not excessive, but there is some wind noise that traps through this windshield. Not overly excessive. Overall, it's a very quiet cabin. Compares pretty well to X5. Is it more quiet? Can't tell, but let's see. Driving 65, let's check. Yeah, it's 61, that's amazing. So actually, based on this, it is more quiet. I mean, it is really quiet, let me tell you this. Like I said, the only thing you hear is something comes from the windshield a little bit, but overall it feels pretty quiet. So what is it like spending time in this car, right? I've been driving this for pretty much the whole day. It's really nice. Now, seats are on the firmer side, like I said. They're supportive, comfortable, still on the firmer side. So some people with lower back issues, you have to rent it for a day. That's like how I did, and spend time in it. Make sure you like this. I personally can spend hours in this car. I'm planning to do another miles per gallon test. So if you also want to see what is the real world fuel economy for this car, make sure to subscribe to this channel and watch my next video. Not next video after the next video. So overall, very easy to cruise in this car. Steering is on the lighter side, but very good steering correction. It doesn't respond to tiny little inputs like I believe BMW iX did that. Yeah, so this is really cool. Very easy to cruise in this car, absolutely joyful. Now, the next thing I usually like to do on the highways is the mid-range power test, okay? For that, we're gonna stay in a comfort mode. You know, I just wanna make my exhaust a little bit louder, if you guys don't mind. But it's a little busy today on the freeway. But overall, yeah, no problem. This car can change lane. This car can absolutely pick up speed, no problem. It's gonna be very easy to exceed the speed limit, so we're not gonna do that. But I like this transmission as well. Is it better than ZF that BMW has? No, it's pretty much the same. There is some delay in shifting when you upshift in certain higher gears. I played around with this gearbox a little bit. When you downshift, it's pretty instantaneous. Also in lower gears, it's also pretty instantaneous. Of course, this does not compare even close to the Porsche PDK transmission, because that is just lightning fast. but it's very much comparable to BMW's 8-speed ZF transmission. So I'm pretty pleased. Overall, guys, I'm very happy with the delivery of this Mercedes. It does deliver on luxury feel. It does deliver on performance in some way, in a luxury kind of way, not in sport aggressive way. And this air suspension definitely elevates the experience. So if you are looking for a luxury vehicle, this is definitely gonna deliver on its promise. And it has traits of performance. It just delivers them in a different way than the BMW does. BMW is still more sport oriented, still there's more connection to the road, where this screams luxury and it does things just a little bit different. Now, this is it for video number 1, guys. Make sure to watch my video number 2, where I'm gonna drive this car on twisty roads and see what is this air suspension is like to drive it on the twisty roads. All right, and I'll hit you soon.